Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Weekend Catch Up Club, the coffee morning show brought to you live every Saturday from 10 a.m. direct to Facebook and available later to catch up on youtube.com/gamertagged. As you can see, I'm just myself today, but don't go anywhere, everybody. It is going to be a great show. I can already see we have a lot of people already in the chat excited to get together to chat away on, of course, this lovely, gorgeous Saturday morning. Saturday morning, yes, it's beautiful outside, but I am stuck under these amazing heat lamps, and honestly, I could not be happier because I love doing this show for you guys. So, whilst I am just myself today, we have a packed show. We've got a couple of flyer headlines, which we're just going to not labour on too much, but the bulk of the show, I imagine, would be about the Sony State of Play, which just came out on, when was it, Thursday or thereabouts? And of course, yesterday, the PS4 early access beta for Marvel's Avengers unlocked. I've been playing a few hours of that as well, so I've got that to talk about. It's going to be a great show, so welcome everybody. I can see James already in the chat has mentioned just how funky and cool the music was. Something about this music makes me want to plan an elaborate heist with a fabulous ensemble cast. Well, I wonder what role I would play in that cast. I'm definitely not going to be Danny Ocean. I'm not the great mastermind behind the thing. Maybe I could be like the comic relief. I don't know. But anyway, talking about the headlines that we have got to discuss today, we have Netflix deals. So Ubisoft has actually signed not one, but two deals with Netflix. One is to create a Beyond Good and Evil movie, and the second one is to create a Splinter Cell anime series. So we've got that to talk about. And of course, the Halo multiplayer is apparently going free to play and can hit 120 frames per second. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And then we're going to bounce over to Sony State of Play stuff, of which there were a lot of games to talk about. We had Crash 4, It's About Time. We got a huge deep dive about that. We got to see a little bit of a teaser of Hitman 3. We had Braid Anniversary Edition. We had the Pathless. We had Aeon Must Die, which looks really interesting as well. We got an announcement for more PSVR titles like Vader Immortal, which is pretty exciting. Control DLC got announced. There was a game that looks super interesting called Hood, which looks like a kind of PvPvE potential kind of game. We'll talk a little bit about that as well, I'm sure. And then the show wrapped up with Godfall. So let us jump across to our first topic of the day, and that is Halo Infinite. There we go. So Microsoft confirms Halo Infinite multiplayer will be free to play and up to 120 frames per second. The news comes after a leak from Smith Toys Superstores, which briefly posted details about Halo Infinite multiplayer on a promotional page this week before quickly removing them once the internet discovered the references. Quote, "The legendary Halo series returns with the most expansive Master Chief campaign yet, a groundbreaking free-to-play multiplayer experience. Read the listing. Enjoy up to 120 frames per second and greatly reduced load times, creating seamless gameplay with Xbox Series X." Now, what is most interesting about that, if we just zoom in, is the fact that it's actually going free to play. It's no longer a built-in component with what you typically get. You buy the game, like Call of Duty, for example, before it went free to play with this Battle Royale mode. You would get a huge multiplayer component. It's a staple of Halo. The fact that it's going free to play is super exciting. That means it's like there's no barrier to access. Now, I know that you can get Halo 5 included with Xbox Game Pass, which is a phenomenal deal right there. But the fact that the multiplayer is going free to play, regardless if you're a member of Game Pass or you're not, that is super, super exciting. And the fact that, of course, Xbox Series X is capable of bringing 120 frames per second. Now, a couple of weeks back on the Weekend Catch-Up Club, myself and Mr. Scott Watson joked that our eyes are probably too old to to actually see and enjoy 120 frames per second. I can see 60 frames per second, but 120 frames per second is just mind-boggling to me. So that is really interesting, and I wonder how 120 frames per second with a gamepad, a controller pad, is actually going to feel, because I have played some PC games with a gamepad that apparently have like 90 frames per second, 100 frames per second, but because it's a gamepad, it doesn't feel that smooth. But I'm super interested about this. I'm really, really interested. So this article comes via The Verge, and they've got a little bit more here. An Xbox leaker that accurately revealed previous Halo Infinite details backed up the claims that the multiplayer mode will be free to play. The leaker also claims the arena mode will aim for 120 frames per second, which Microsoft has also confirmed, and that multiplayer Halo Infinite will include a battle pass system and a new customization option, which the company has not yet confirmed. So 343 Industries haven't revealed much about the multiplayer aspects of Halo just yet. Hopefully Xbox will do a future event in the run-up to the launch of the Series X, and they'll do like a big media blowout of the multiplayer component, because there's a lot of eyes on this. Halo is the OG shooter that solidified and made console gaming viable back in 2001 when Halo Combat Evolved first launched. Who does not remember with fond memories those LAN parties that we used to have with the original Halo? Fantastic stuff. So yeah, really, really interesting there. And honestly, I'm really can't wait to just see more about this shooter, because yes, it got a lot of criticism for its campaign visuals, which I don't take any heed of. I think it still looks fantastic. Play it back on a 4K TV and you get the 4K trailer. It looks amazing. It looks like Halo Combat Evolved. I am very happy. But yeah, I can't wait to see what they're going to do with Infinite's multiplayer, because love it or hate it, I was actually a big fan of Halo 4's multiplayer. I never played much of Halo 5 multiplayer though, but I'm excited to see if they bring back what was their hybrid game mode? Was it like a firefight Warzone hybrid game mode? What was like the PvPvE kind of setting, and I hope they bring that back as well, because I don't think that got a lot of love. So that is a quick roundup of the Halo news. But next up, everybody, let's scoot over to our next article for the day, and that is Detective Pikachu director will helm a Beyond Good and Evil movie. Now, what is hilarious about this is we have been waiting years upon years for Beyond Good and Evil 2, a sequel to it. And it's hilarious that they've pulled the trigger on a movie in this universe as opposed to like making progress with the actual video game. You know what I mean? It's like, where is the video game, guys? I want the video game. I want to see what's happening to Jade and all of our animal friends. But the fact that it is the Beyond Good and Evil director, the Detective Pikachu director helming this, bodes well for it, because it is a lot of humans interacting with these animal counterparts, not too dissimilar really to the movie Detective Pikachu. And of course, Detective Pikachu is an amazing movie. So this article comes, of course, via IGN. Ubisoft's adventure game Beyond Good and Evil is getting a Netflix adaptation from Detective Pikachu director Rob Letterman. Ubisoft has also currently developing the long-awaited sequel Beyond Good and Evil 2 for consoles. As reported by The Hollywood Reporter, Letterman's The Beyond Good and Evil movie will reportedly be a mix of live action and animation. The movie will be produced by Jason Altman and Margaret Boykin, I beg your pardon, under the helm of Ubisoft Film and Television. This adaptation is in early development as the team is still searching for writers. And if we scroll down a little bit here, and a little bit of a roundup as to what the game is. Beyond Good and Evil is a cult classic 2003 video game developed by Ubisoft about a young investigative journalist named Jade who works with an underground resistance movement. The game takes place in the year 2435, so way off in the future, on the mining planet of Hellas, which is located in a far-off section of the galaxy. Ubisoft is currently at work, of course, on the sequel of the game. Now, again, I'm excited for this because I love Detective Pikachu, and honestly, I think it's going to be done really, really well. I'm hoping that they get a really good writing team on board, and if it has the same production values as Detective Pikachu, This could be awesome. I mean, we mentioned last week when I got the fantastic interview chat with Sega's community manager, Ibrahim Bati, who was gracious enough to join me on the show. We talked about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie and how at first it wasn't seeming like it was going to do very well. It was getting a lot of problems pre-launch kind of thing for the movie. But when that movie came out, I watched it and I loved it. The writing was so fantastic. There was so many good so many good Easter eggs, and it was just a lot of fun. It ended up being one of the best video game movie tie-ins. Not even a tie-in, sorry, just a standalone movie. But I am hesitant, but also hopeful for Beyond Good and Evil, the movie, because the lore is rich, and they're developing the sequel as well. So this could be one to watch, and it could be a lot of fun. So James in the chat, I'm noticing that he's got a confession time. He has not played Beyond Good and Evil. Well, James, you can get it on backward compatibility for your Xbox right now. Get playing it. It is so wonderful. You take photographs of animals and creatures in the world, and you beat the living crap out of cursed animals and creatures in the world. It is brilliant. And you have a trusty sidekick, which is a warthog as well, which gives you a lot of fun banter. So yeah, that is a quick wrap up of that headline. And still, we have more to come with the next topic, which is, let me just bring up the screen here. So Splinter Cell is getting an animated series again on Netflix. And this one, what makes this super interesting is this comes from the creator of John Wick. What? John Wick, this could be amazing. If it follows the Castlevania style of, it's not childish, it's actually quite adult, then this could be an amazing animated series. So again, Ubisoft and Netflix are partnering for an animated series adapting the Splinter Cell video game franchise. Derek Kolstad, the writer behind the John Wick movies, will write and executive produce the series. According to Variety, Splinter Cell has received a 2-season, 16-episode order from Netflix. Splinter Cell had long been in development as a feature film set to star Tom Hardy. Now, side note, Tom Hardy as Sam Fisher actually sounds pretty freaking amazing. So can we still get that as well as this animation? But the trade says that project is currently considered inactive, which is a damn shame because, honestly, Tom Hardy would be freaking awesome, actually, I think. Really, really good. They might have to dub his voiceover so we get Michael Ironside. But anyway, I am really hoping, actually, that Michael Ironside voices the character of Sam Fisher in this animation because, frankly, there's no reason why he necessarily couldn't do that. So the stealth game franchise, which has spawned 7 games as well as novels, follows Black Ops agent Sam Fisher. He has been voiced by both Michael Ironside and Eric Johnson in the games. Now, Eric Johnson only voiced one Splinter Cell game, and it was the most recent one, which was Blacklist. He's good, he's solid. The game itself is amazing and hugely underrated. But I mean, Sam Fisher is Michael Ironside. Michael Ironside is Sam Fisher. Those two are so entwined with the creation and the persona of that character. It has to be Michael Ironside. So, in addition to the John Wick franchise, Derek Kolstad's credits include Marvel's The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is coming to Disney+, and Kibi's Die Hard, which I'm not too sure what that is. Kolstad is also scripting the feature film adaptation for the video game Just Cause. Now that's a bit out of nowhere, but that sounds really, really interesting. And of course, Netflix are no stranger to adapting video games, with The Witcher returning for a 2nd season and a new prequel series. So, guys, what do you think about that? Again, I'm excited, but I'm also hesitant. I really want Netflix to do this animated series justice. And honestly, if they do the same level of care and production quality, like what they've done with Marvel TV shows, I know they've been live action in the past, but they are not shy of dipping into really great animated series. I already mentioned the Castlevania animated series on there. So, I mean, the pedigree is there. It could be amazing. It really could be amazing. And after all of that, I need to take a sip of coffee. So again, cheers everybody. This is the Weekend Catch-Up Club, the Coffee Morning Show brought to you live. I hope you've all got drinks. I've got an even bigger jug than normal because there's a lot to talk about. So quick sip, quick break. Oh, iced coffee is just amazing, guys. Just amazing. So anyway, so what is next on the list of things we need to talk about? So I guess now it is straight in to the Sony State of Play. So let's jump over to YouTube for a second. There we go. Let me just zoom out a little bit. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play the trailer and look at, I mean, Crash Bandicoot 4, it's about time. How awesome does this look? It looks like it has gone through quite an overhaul. I mean, the Insane Trilogy was an amazing reboot and remake of the first three games, but this game, purpose-built as a brand new game, does look like it is just ramped up the production levels. The style of Crash is much more cartoony, which I'm really digging. It was almost a little bit too, I wouldn't say photorealistic, but his fur was a little bit too like sharp and too detailed. Whereas now they've gone for much more of a cartoon aesthetic, and I think it really benefits the game. The new puzzles, I mean, look at this, he's jumping through everything. Those classic 2D horizontal and forward and back puzzles and platforming, it looks amazing, guys. It looks absolutely amazing. The same humor is always there. So hopefully we've got some fans of Crash Bandicoot in the chat, and they can maybe share their thoughts on this as well. But honestly, it looks good. I mean, I wonder if it will still have the same brutal difficulty curve from the original trilogy. I'm hoping that it's because I'm old, I don't have the reflexes of my younger self, my teenage self when Crash Bandicoot originally came out. I need a little bit of hand holding. I need a little bit of assistance now and again, especially for the platforming stuff. So it's really it looks freaking awesome. We've got vertical wall climbing. You may have heard my dog barking in the lawn there. It's because it's a hot day, windows are open. He wants to play with the neighbours' dogs. But yeah, there's new characters to play with. There's new customization, as you can see here. He's got like a leather jacket on. There's going to be tons of replayability as well. I mean, look at this. But one of the most exciting aspects of this gameplay reveal, and which the trailer is going to get to in just a second, was the ability to invert the worlds. And that looks really, really awesome. But again, new characters, new costumes to unlock. It's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, absolutely no microtransactions at all. Now, here we go. You pick up these masks and it changes the worlds for different effects. It can invert them, essentially. So you got like gravity powers there. You can see with the platforming. It just looks a lot of fun. Yeah, I've got to admit, I'm pretty excited for this. I think it's out later this year, but it just looks wild. Look at this. I mean, yeah. It looks like the effects are not necessarily anything new to platforming, where you're turning on and off platforms as you're about to hit them. Mario has done that for years, but it just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun when it's adapted for the Crash Bandicoot level design. I'm curious about people's thoughts on this. Were you wanting the traditional level design for Crash Bandicoot, or were you wanting it to go in more of a Crash Bandicoot open world, a Banjo-Kazooie kind of open world setting, or is this purist? Is this what it's going to be all about? This classic linear 3D, pseudo 3D levels. And of course, we get to play it as Dr. Cortex as well. So I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be really, really awesome. And I'm glad they've taken this approach. I think had they tried to reinvent it as like what Mario has done, to go fully three-dimensional and open world, then I think it probably might have annoyed a lot of the purist fans. So I like that they're sticking to what Crash is and what Crash does the best. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be freaking awesome. I mean, look at just the visual design of it. It looks fantastic. It's incredible that these platform mascots that we got back in the day are now going through this reboot resurgence, and the games are beginning to look more and more like these Pixar, DreamWorks animated films that we can actually play. I mean, Spyro the Dragon collection is one of my favorite reboot collections, and that game is just wonderful. I mean, the recent Ratchet and Clank, and not the new one that's coming on PS5, but the PS4 one, was just visually stunning as well, and a lot of fun. And this is what we're talking about with inverted levels. It will change the layout of the design. It will change the visual aesthetic of the design, and it just adds to that replayability. It just looks absolutely mental, absolutely mental. I mean, so look what's going on here. You've got like a noir setting. You've got like a futuristic setting. You've got like a neon outlines kind of setting as well. It just looks wild. It looks absolutely wild. The flexibility that the developers are putting into this for like longevity of his game, and maybe I'm just throwing this out there as a hypothetical. Maybe they will release other like effects and filters through maybe DLC, new courses, new levels, new tracks. Who knows? Really, the sky's the limit because Crash Bandicoot is back, and as you can see there, it is coming out on October 2nd this year for I think everything. I think all the consoles. So that was a lot to cover there. But the next one we're going to be talking about is Hitman 3. Is it 3? Hitman 3, yes. Here we go. Oh, and take a breath. So IOI Interactive. I was honestly floored by the announcement that I was not expecting. Because at the moment, you think it's just going to be a gameplay run-through reveal like of the level of a new environment. But this moment right here, he snaps into first person, and it is a full-fledged VR experience title. Now, apparently the entire game is going to be in VR, and that is mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And I wonder how it's going to work, because third person always relies heavily on like cover systems, being able to see round corners, being able to see around your environment that is not accurate. Do you know what I mean? It's if you're first person, you can't see what's over a wall or around a corner. You have to actually stick your head out and look. So this just looks wild. This looks absolutely wild. You look at that Hitman 3 virtual reality. Play the entire world of Assassination Trilogy in 3D. That is just wild. PlayStation VR. As honestly, I can't wait to play this. So January 2021 is when it's coming, and honestly, it looks sick as anything. Yeah, really looking forward to that. So what is next? What is next? We got a game I am super excited for, and it is called The Pathless by Giant Squid. Now, if anybody doesn't know, Giant Squid is the studio set up by Matt Nava, and he was the creative director of the video game Journey, that beloved, that highly revered title for PlayStation 3, and came to Vita, and then ultimately came to PlayStation 4 as well as a bit of a remaster. And this is his new studio. Now, they've already got a PS4 game out already, and it is Abzu. And again, Abzu, I adore. It is a beautiful indie title, and the great thing about that was the schools of fish and the fish physics and the water physics of that game. But it was quite a short game, but it was a beautiful little indie title. But this looks way bigger. This looks like a huge adventure game, still keeping that Journey, that Abzu visual aesthetic in terms of its illustrative style and its animation style, but it looks just freaking awesome. Look at this. The character is speeding through the landscape, picking off targets, and you have a pet companion eagle which can carry you through different parts of the land. Now, what is exciting about this is that it seems to be drawing heavily on titles such as Breath of the Wild. There's no map at all. They've already said that. It looks like the HUD is super minimal, which again ticks everything that I'm looking for in open world adventure games. And I just love the fact that you have to get to a high point. Now, it's not the Assassin's Creed model where you're clearing these like towers to clear the environment and then loads of icons pop up in the map. It is the Breath of the Wild model where you get to a high point just to see your environment, see your landscape, and then make your own navigation routes via there. It just looks wonderful. And obviously, puzzle platforming is going to be quite a key component there. We can see there's something to do with lighting the lanterns here to create like switches and access points. We have to use our bow and arrow to shoot through different objects in the environment as well. I am all in on this. It just looks so good. Oh, how is everybody doing anyway? I'm rambling a lot. I want to make sure that everybody is having a good time catching up on the Weekend Catch Up Club as well. So, and there you go. That is an example of getting to a high point, being able to see your environment, and then you have this like kind of like vision mode, which will highlight points of interest in your environment. But again, it is super minimal HUD. There's no like icons flashing up everywhere. I am loving the fact that developers are now really distilling their open world experiences and looking at HUD systems and saying, you know what, we don't need all of this effing clutter. What we need is to keep the player fully immersed by looking at the environment. Of course, the best example of this today is Ghost of Tsushima, which check out the podcast, The Creative Ramble, because we did a huge deep dive on that and worth checking out, guys. But look at this. This is where it becomes a little bit Monster Hunter for me as well. We have these like mythical cursed creatures that we have to take down in the world as well. Now, a little bit Shadow of Colossus, maybe, a little bit Monster Hunter. I'm not too sure because it's all very new. It's new footage that we're seeing for really the first time. And I'm just excited by this. I don't know if it's got weak spots. Of course it's going to have weak spots. It's a video game after all. But it just looks super interesting. The aesthetic for me is what makes it. And if the controls are great, if the world is just exciting to explore, if it's got a really interesting, like evocative narrative or message like Abzu had, like Journey had before it, then I am all in on this game. And I can't wait for it. Now, it says it's a PlayStation 5 game, and I wonder if it's going to come out on PlayStation 4 as well, because not to knock the game at all, it looks beautiful and it looks like it's running beautifully as well. It doesn't look like it's going to be too taxing necessarily for a PlayStation 4, which is why I'm really interested to see if it's going to come out on PS4 as well, or if it's just going to be held back and be an exclusive to PlayStation 5. Who knows? It looks great though. Look at it. Look at this. This big lava monster. Awesome. So freaking cool. I mean, fire attacks, obviously. So it also makes you wonder, okay, so if I have bow and arrow, are there going to be the traditional like elemental arrows? So I have to maybe counter a fire creature or a lava creature with either water or ice arrows or ice weapons. We really don't know. We're just speculating at the moment. It looks awesome though, guys. It looks so good. And again, you're cleansing the land. Not a new design mechanic at all. I mean, who remembers that the Prince of Persia, cel-shaded Prince of Persia, where you basically had to cure corruption from the land? That's just the one that comes to mind. There have been way more. It is a trope that is quite common in video game design, but I'm loving the aesthetic here. And this character just looks so badass. So badass. I am all in on this game. It looks brilliant. Right up my street. There you go. Let's jump back. There you go. The Pathos. Holiday 2020 for the PlayStation 5. And again, it just looks brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So next up on the list was a title which looked super interesting, and it's called Aeon Must Die. Now, the actual gameplay did, if I'm honest, it did look a little bit, I don't want to say simple because that's cutting it. That's not doing it a good enough service. But it did look kind of basic, kind of straightforward, like a 2D brawler. Again, I'm speculating. I have no idea what it is at all. But look at these cinematics. These cinematics just look amazing. And this kind of looks like a 2D brawler, or is it turn-based? It could be turn-based. I have no idea just yet. But what caught my eye about this was the cinematics. This style. Look at it. It looks like an anime I would watch like crazy. It just looks so good. I don't really have much to say about it other than it just looks awesome. Something like fantasy cyberpunk about it as well. I'm just loving the colors. Like that high contrast, really sharp, striking color palette. It looks brilliant. I would watch this as a series. If Netflix want to do a spin-off series with Focus Home Entertainment, Focus Home Entertainment are the publishers of this game, so yeah, strike a deal and get a series made, get a spin-off series made, because this looks freaking awesome. Look at it. It just looks badass as anything. And then, yeah, I've no idea what the gameplay is all about at all. But again, 2021, so it is a long, long way to go before that one comes out. Whoa, breathless, guys. There is a lot to cover here. So next up, I want to show you this one here, which is Anno Mutationum, which is a strange name, but it caught my eye on the state of play because of the pixel art. And I'm getting major vibes of a title, an indie title, which was first unveiled years ago called Last Light. Last Light? I think it may be called Last Light. And that game looked phenomenal because it was 2D pixel art but looked three-dimensional with depth of field and parallax scrolling. And I'm getting major vibes about that game with this game. And this game just looks awesome. So it is a 2D platformer with 3D environments. But it just looks brilliant. It looks absolutely brilliant. And I'm really, really looking forward to this. Again, so great for Sony to dedicate a state of play to so many indie titles, giving them their moment in the sun and really showcasing just how many great games are actually still coming out this year and coming out on existing hardware, which will probably get ported at some point to next-gen hardware as well. But yeah, it looks so awesome. It looks so cool. Look at that. December 20. So let's scroll that back a little bit. Yeah. So Lightning Games, Thinking Stars, and Vanguard Sound. And that was Anno Mutationum, which is a very strange name, but we won't hold that against it because the aesthetic of the game does look freaking awesome. And so 2 more to go, guys. 2 more to go, and then we'll wrap up the show. So this one, I have to be honest, again, Focus Home Entertainment knocking this crap out of the park with the state of play. They have got a lot to show. They have got so many games in development. Now, if I'm honest, this is by Sumo Newcastle, great studio. I was not expecting it to be what it is. This aesthetic to me reminded me so heavily of a game by Asobo Studios, A Plague Tale Innocence, which is amazing. Hands down one of my favourite games of maybe the generation, but definitely of the past few years, because it's so good. But the aesthetic is very similar to that. It's that medieval French kind of aesthetic. And then I was also thinking, it looks a lot like Thief or something along those lines. But it's a great cinematic, I have to say. But it does snap into gameplay, just little slithers of gameplay toward the end. And it got me really, really interested. It's called Hood. It looks like it's a PvP, possibly with PvE elements in there as well. Again, just speculating based on how little we know. But it looks pretty cool. It looks interesting. And the fact that it's obviously 4-player is really quite interesting as well. And this is where it becomes PvP, because you see other characters in the cinematic eyeing up this crew who are going after like the treasure. So it makes me think that there's going to be AI opponents versus real life opponents. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. This could be a lot of fun. So there you go. Hood, Outlaws and Legends. And there you go, gameplay. Looks wicked. It looks really wicked. I think this could be a lot of fun. I think this could be a lot of fun. So we'll scrub back just for that tiny little bit of gameplay. Just here. Look at this. Oh, mallet. Different character classes. There's an archer. They've got a guy who can bludgeon people with a warhammer. Pretty awesome. But yeah, 2021. And as you can see, it is coming out on everything. So it's cross-generation. It is coming out on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Series X, Xbox One, and PC coming in 2021. So that, honestly, looks pretty cool. I'm interested in that. It could be a lot of fun. I'm hoping it's not going to be one of those games where it looks like it could be awesome, but then a community doesn't get behind the game and it doesn't get enough people backing it, enough constant players. Hey Liam, how you doing, guys? Again, welcome to everybody in the chat and thank you for tuning in live to the Weekend Catch-Up Club. We're having a lot of fun today. I'm just going through the Sony State of Play. But maybe, just maybe, it could turn into like a Rainbow Six Siege or a For Honor where there is a dedicated small community that can then grow and welcome other players in there, because that could be absolutely awesome. Really, really awesome. And of course, the final game that we've got to talk about is the game in which Sony ended the show on, and that is Godfall. So they did a huge deep dive into the weapon combat in this game. And honestly, at first blanch, looking at the game, it looked to me like a cross between Darksiders and Destiny. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. I mean that in a freaking awesome way, because the visual aesthetic has that really larger than life fantasy, like Todd McFarlane kind of vibe to it. And it is, they have said that it is basically a looter, not shooter, but it's a looter melee game. So it's going to be co-op. I think they said it's 3-player co-op. And it just looks like a lot of fun, man. It looks fast. It looks intense. It looks like it could be just a lot of fun. Whether it becomes like a methodical combat game or a very mashy combat game, I don't know at all. Yeah, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I'm liking it so far. And I hope that they release a demo or a beta or something like that, because I think this is going to be one where, much like Marvel's Avengers, just seeing it through videos doesn't do the game justice. And we will get into Marvel Avengers just shortly, because I've been playing the beta for a couple hours now, and I'm really enjoying it. And that game is visually stunning. Like, really good, and it's a lot of fun, but it does have that brawler kind of vibe. And I'm wondering if this has the brawler vibe as well. You've obviously got special moves, you've got different classes of weapon types. You've got a broadsword with a shield, you have a staff, you have dual blades, dual short swords, you have like ultimate power moves, you have heavy attacks, you have light attacks. Yeah. Again, it looks solid. It looks like a solid launch title for the PlayStation 5. If it's actually going to be a launch title for the PlayStation 5, I hope it is, because we're still kind of thin on the ground for knowing what the launch lineup of games is looking like for the new consoles. But what do you guys think? You let me know in the chat what you guys think of Godfall. And I'm going to have a few sips of my iced coffee whilst I catch my breath and get my thoughts together. But honestly, I think it's pretty fucking awesome. Oh, excuse me, language, on a Saturday morning. I think it looks cool. It could be a lot of fun. I mean, they're only showing solo play here, so it looks intense and fast and a lot of fun solo play. I wonder how chaotic and potentially messy it becomes if there's 3 people on screen, all tear-assing across the environment and tearing through enemies all at the same time. Is it just going to become a mess, or is it still going to become like quite considered combat? But yeah, there's a lot of this actually trailer still to go. Holy crap. But we have weapon classes. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I mean, the environments look awesome as well. I mean, look at that armor. The armor looks so cool. So I'd love to see the customization of your armor as well. One thing that game developers have never quite perfected is like the minutia of customization for armor types and like cosmetic look. You can usually change the full color, but you can never go into, or very rarely can you ever go into the individual components. Like if I want one arm or a shoulder pads, one color, but then the rest of the armor a different color on that one arm, you can't do that. It's all or nothing. So I want to be able to like have my helmet a different color. I want like shoulder pauldrons one color, the under armor one color, like knee pads one color. You know, I want granular control over the aesthetic and the look of my character. I hope they do. I really hope they do. But it does look freaking awesome. Look at that light attack combo. I mean, look at the headpiece on this character and the pauldrons that they've got equipped. This is obviously a super light class of character, so they're really, really fast. Dual blades for that, maybe that rogue style of character class. It looks really good. It looks like it's a lot of fun. I mean, it doesn't look like anything mind-blowingly brand new, but does that matter? Does that honestly matter if we are having a lot of fun jumping online, ripping through enemies? Yeah. I'm really liking it. So anyway, that is quite enough of that. It is a very long video, so do go back and check it out yourselves, guys. We'll pause it there and get rid of that. So, let's snap back. Oh, man, that is a lot we covered. And there is, of course, more as well, because we haven't really talked about Marvel's Avengers. Now, Marvel Avengers is in beta at the moment. It's an exclusive closed beta for PlayStation 4 this weekend. And then next weekend, there is, I guess a bit confusing, there is a closed beta this weekend for PlayStation 4. Next weekend is an open PlayStation 4 beta. Then the following weekend, there is a closed Xbox beta. And then 4 weeks out, there is an open beta for all platforms. I think that's correct. But it's it's pretty crazy, these beta locking off betas. I'm never usually a big fan of, but saying that, I did get into this weekend's beta. I will be broadcasting the beta later on today, maybe early this evening, so tune in for that. My thoughts on Marvel Avengers so far. So let's just pull up the gameplay beta reveal, actually, and we'll talk about that because I am enjoying it. I am enjoying it a lot. So bear with me just a second, guys. Where are we? Where the heck is it? I'm trying to find the... There we go. Here we go. Let's get this going. So, this is the War Table beta deep dive that was put out there via the Square Enix team and the Marvel Avengers developers. And I have to say, the graphics are excellent. Yes, my initial impressions of the characters, along with everybody else, is like they've tried to hit this uncomfortable medium state of the character designs by not being quite MCU that we're kind of used to now, and nowhere near the comic book originals. So the design of the characters are still kind of questionable. They're fine. They're super generic, which is okay, but I'm actually having a lot of fun with the beta itself. So far, I've played as Bruce Banner, the Hulk, and Kamala Khan, a little bit of Iron Man, a little bit of Captain America, and a little bit of Black Widow. So far, my favorites are Hulk and Captain America. Kamala Khan's a lot of fun as well. But I am enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to getting back to this title as well and playing more of it, because this has the potential to be a platform similar to Destiny, similar to maybe Warframe is maybe a better example of how the platform can actually work and grow and have the longevity with a very passionate and active user base. But it's a lot of fun. Combat is a bit repetitive so far, so I'm really interested to see what they can do to keep it fresh rather than just grinding strikes of the same repetitive, like button mashy combat all the time. At the moment, it's very much like that. So fingers crossed they can do something that's still really, really exciting. The demo, the beta, opens up with this huge, amazing set piece on the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. And that is so far the best moment in the beta because it is so cinematic. The presentation is phenomenal. But after that, it becomes this war table stuff where you're going out on a mission, you're just mashing and destroying a bunch of robots, coming back to your kind of ship, which is called the Chimera, which is like a heli carrier type of vehicle and home base. But that opening level is so cinematic, and that makes me think, okay, I want more of this. I want these epic presentation moments, these epic story moments, and I'm curious as to whether or not they can deliver on that, as opposed to the Destiny Strike model, where yes, it's still fun and it still looks fantastic, but does it have that gravitas, those kind of huge moments where you're thinking, yes, this is an Avengers team up against these huge odds, these kind of like world-threatening odds. Because at the moment, you're just fighting against AIM, and I understand it's just the beta, but I'm hesitant but still enjoying it. I think that's probably the best praise I can maybe give it just now. I am enjoying it, and that's obviously great news because I wasn't that enamored before getting my hands on the beta. I thought, okay, it could be really, really good, but I don't know. I'm just not sure. But now that I've played the beta, it's fun. And if nothing else, it is fun. So that's a good thing. Lots of loot, very much in the Destiny model of like building up your Avengers, which is cool. But it's very much a brawler at the moment. It's very much a mashy brawler. And I'm hoping that it doesn't become too repetitive. That's my biggest fear, is it becomes too repetitive. But once you get some friends together, I think it's 4-player, it could just be a lot of fun, where it's like Callum in the chat, it could be your Iron Man, it could be my Incredible Hulk, it could be Liam's Black Widow, it could be, X person's Thor. So that is where it becomes quite exciting, and I'm really, really looking forward to playing more. So yeah, excited for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's just kill that there. Okay, so guys, that has been a quick wrap-up of some of the main things that happened in this week's gaming news, I guess we could kind of call it. Hope everybody is doing well. I am Ross from Gamertagged, your community manager, and hopefully you're enjoying every Saturday morning the Weekend Catch-Up Club. It is a coffee morning show where we all get to hang out. We all get to kind of have a bit of a catch-up just to kind of see how we're all doing. It is a weird time in the world right now. A lot of us are under lockdown. A lot of people are having to kind of work through it. It can be taking its toll on everybody. I just want to make sure that you guys are doing okay. You're still having fun with video games, and what games are you looking forward to as well. So again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the Weekend Catch-Up Club. This has been a 5-week pilot. If you're enjoying it, I will continue to keep doing them. But let's see if we can keep it going, keep having a great community engagement. But for now, guys, take care. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you again for more Weekend Catch-Up Club next Saturday, live from 10 a.m. Bye-bye.